Welcome to Layer the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. On today's episode, a review and discussion of the new Ghost album, Impera. I think I'm pronouncing that right, but I could be wrong. The version that I have is a Target exclusive, and I'm not 100% sure what's different about it. I think the only thing different is that it comes with this sort of textured art print thing. It's on red vinyl. And it comes with this booklet. I don't know if every edition comes with this, but it's a very thick book here with all the lyrics. And for every song, there's a unique art. And you see in the middle of the book here, there's a 2-page spread. So this is really, really nice. I mean, this is very impressive. The artwork with the lyrics right there is very, very cool. Now, this is the 5th studio album from Ghost, and it's kind of surprising that I haven't talked about them on this channel because I am a huge Ghost fan, and I know that they're a band that people seem to either love or hate them. And for the people that don't like them, a lot of times it comes down to a few things. A main one being the vocals. Some people cannot get past the vocals, and I will admit that the vocals are quirky and strange, and I really can't fault anybody if they say, hey, I can't get into Ghost because of the vocals. But for me, I like them. I think that they're different. In some ways, it holds the band back a little bit at times, and I'll talk about that a little later. And other times, it really adds to the atmosphere of the music and the sound of the band. Other people who may have discovered them with their first record, and that's where I had discovered them before their first record even came out, when they just were putting stuff out on the internet, and I've been a fan right from the beginning. And in the beginning, they were a bit more classic, dark-sounding hard rock, heavy metal. They had this sort of retro vibe to their sound. It sounded like something that could have come out in the 70s. There was a lot of heavy riffing, and the lyrical matter was pretty dark and stuff. And as time has gone on, they've moved away from that, and they've moved into a much more well-produced, very slick-sounding sound, and an almost melodic rock direction. And this album continues in that. So if you're someone who only likes the really heavy side of Ghost, you're probably going to be disappointed in this. Not that there aren't some heavy moments here, but this is a very produced album. Now, the album was produced by, and I need to look at my thing here, it is produced by Klaus Auland. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, and Andy Wallace mixed it. And there is a lot going on. There's a lot of voices, like choir type things. There's some horn stuff going on in some of the songs. There's a lot of different keyboard type things and synth things, but they're done in such a way that it makes the whole recording sound very lush and like cinematic at times. You could maybe complain that it takes away from the heaviness. Like, there aren't as many songs that are solely driven by a guitar riff on this, and there are riffs on here, but it's not like it was on the first record where, you know, you've got a guitar riff and the song just is driven by guitar riffs. It's different here, where the songs are carried by the production in a lot of ways, by the little things coming in and out. The choruses come in, they get really big. And for me, I like that. Now, full disclosure, I am a person who, one, likes really well-produced records. I like albums. I call them headphone albums, that I can put headphones on, I can listen, I can hear a bunch of different things going on. And I am a sucker for melodic music. I like big hooks. I like things that are really catchy. I'm the guy in the room who likes Since You've Been Gone from Rainbows Down to Earth. I think that's a fantastically written melodic rock song. So I am a sucker for that kind of stuff. And I think that that's one of the things I really like about Ghost, and the things I like about this album. It's very well produced. You can put it on. You can hear all kinds of different stuff going on. And it's done in a very textured kind of way through the music. It isn't just like there's just things jumping out at you. It's very sort of natural and organic. The mix of the overall sonics of the record are excellent. There's a lot of bass frequency in this, and so many modern heavy rock metal recordings just a lot of times they don't have any bass, the instrument, in the sound, and a lot of them don't have any bass, the frequency. This, when I listen to it with my headphones on, there's this nice big warm low end that just sort of opens up like subwoofer type low end, but it's not like muddy like Ozzy's Ordinary Man. One of my big problems with that record is the bottom end is just total mud. It's totally out of control. And if you listen to it in a system that has like a subwoofer, it can really go down low, it's just a sloppy mess. This isn't like this. It has some really big depth. So when certain chords hit or certain choruses kick in, it just sounds like the whole sound just envelopes and gets bigger. It's not, I haven't checked any dynamic range readings on it. It doesn't sound dynamically crushed to me. Now, note, a little footnote, I've been listening on Apple Music, and Apple Music, I've mentioned this before, has a thing that they call Apple Masters, mastered for Apple or something like that. Apple Digital Master, I think is what they call it, where they will take the master recording and make sure that it's not clipping and make sure that it's just not crazy loud. So that may be contributing to some of it. I know with Scorpions' Rock Believer review I just did, that was sort of a factor. I think the Apple mastered one has had more dynamics to it than other recordings. I haven't listened to the vinyl of this yet. I just got it like a day or two ago. So there's that if you're someone who's sensitive to the whole dynamic range, loudness, worse things. To my ears, through Apple Music, their Apple Digital Master, it sounds great. There's tons of space. You can hear everything that's going on. And again, the bottom end is just really impressive. When there's a good low end bass in a recording, that can add so much like presence and depth to the sound of a recording, and it's really a shame in modern hard rock and metal that gets lost a lot of times. All right, so let's get into the album. Now, there are 12 songs, but there's actually 3 instrumentals, and the album starts with, so really it's 9 songs, 9 proper songs. The whole length of the record is 46 minutes and 21 seconds, so it's not too long. You know, that's a complaint of mine when records are too long. It doesn't tell you who plays what on here. It just says Papa Emeritus and the Ghouls. The album in general has nods to the 80s. I'm talking like 84 to 87 LA type metal sounds at times, especially in the guitar playing. It wouldn't shock me at all if like rumors started flying that there was some 80s guitar hero like Steve Vai or Steve Stevens played some of the solos on this, because it has that kind of feel to it at time. Or the guy from Europe, I forget what the guitar player's name in that band is, that guy, it has that kind of flair to some of the soloing and to some of the riffing that you hear on this record, but it doesn't really tell you who's who. Frederick Akeson is credited as guitar on this. I don't know what that means, if he just played on one thing, or, you know, I don't know. But in other words, the album has this sort of 80s metalish feel to it. It starts off with an instrumental, Imperium, that leads into Kaiserion. I don't know if I'm pronouncing these right. And if this isn't the opener to their tour for this album, I would be absolutely shocked. This screams concert opener. To me, it's got the dramatic intro. It goes into this like a guitar medley on the top string of the guitar, like this open string guitar medley. Is this upbeat song, and again, it's got some changes in it and some great guitar playing to it, and it's got a catchy chorus. Pretty much all these songs are really catchy. To me, that's a signature of Ghost. Spillways is cool. It starts off with a piano thing that really screams 80s. It reminds me, and I know Blue Oyster Cult comes out when people talk about Ghost. For me, I don't really hear that a lot in Ghost. I hear a little bit of that. Right here, this keyboard at the beginning really reminds me of the Revenge of Vera McGee. the piano and that, and some of the piano that sounds that Blue Oyster Cult was using like around that era, Fire of Unknown Origin, Agents of Fortune, like that kind of sound. That's a real 80s sound. Some of this here makes me think of like Saga, you know, if you remember Saga, and that kind of like slick 80s type of sound, the way the keyboards are used in here sometimes. Now the next two things were the advanced singles, Call Me Little Sunshine and Hunter's Moon. I like them. I think that they're moody, especially Call Me Little Sunshine, I think has kind of a cool atmosphere to it. And again, that low end here, that nice low end, adds to the sonic sound here and the mood of the whole thing. Hunter's Moon, I think, is really cool. It has kind of a dramatic, super well produced, just tons of things going on in it. Okay, now we're 6 songs in, 5 really, if you don't count the intro, short little intro thing, before we get a real heavy one, a real drift-driven one, and that's Watcher in the Sky. And this really sounds like, and I gotta give credit to my friend Matthias. He's been here at the Lair, and Matthias, when we were talking about his record, said it's the ultimate sin of the Ghost catalog, and I totally get that, because it's like this Watcher in the Sky really makes me think of Jake Ely, Ultimate Sin, or maybe No Rest for the Wicked. That kind of like guitar riffing in there, and it has a little bit of that slick sort of pop sound to it. But this is probably the heaviest one in here. It's kind of got the most going on with different little changes and everything. The next is another one of the instrumentals, Dominion, and then 20s. Now, Dominion is a weird, like, horns and stuff in it, little, like, band, like, orchestral band arrangement thing. And then it goes into the 20s, which is a bizarre song. This was something they released before the record came out. It's got these, like, orchestrated, like, movie-style horns in it, and it really makes me think of, like, Alice Cooper, like Welcome to My Nightmare from the Inside, that era where Alice was very theatrical. And this is the same thing. I can totally picture, like, them on a theater stage and Papa with a cane and a top hat doing a dance or something, because it has that weird, that feel to it, like it's not spoken word, but he's sort of half singing, half speaking, but it's really catchy. It's got a lot of depth to the sound with the horns and all the stuff that's going on in the sound. All right, the next two are probably not my favorite here. Darkness at the Heart of My Love and Griftwood. Those ones are okay. They're kind of catchy. But for me, they're a little, Darkness at the Heart of My Love is a little too poppy. Again, this stuff is really verging on melodic radio rock at this point. I mean, the riffs, really, Watcher in the Sky is really the only one that sounds like a real kind of straight up metal type sound. Then Bite of Passage is another short instrumental that leads into Respite on the Spitalfields. I have no idea what that title has to do with it. And this is Ghost seems to like to do this in their albums with sort of an epic ballad type thing. Again, I'm a sucker for big melodic things. Their song that they had, Life Eternal, I love that. I love He Is. I love those big Scorpions, He's Still Loving You style ballad type things where the chorus comes in and it's just really big and it's real dramatic. And this is that. It's like this mid-tempo ballad. It's kind of on the longer side. In fact, it is the longest song on the record, so it kind of has a lot going on, and it takes the album out on this sort of dark ballad, dramatic, slightly epic way to take the record out, which I think is really cool. All right, in summary, if you haven't been a fan of Ghost before this probably is not going to make you a fan of the band. I highly doubt it, unless you're somebody coming from the pop side and you don't like any metal and you hear something on this and that draws you in. If you're somebody who really likes the heavy side of Ghost, like I mentioned earlier, you're probably going to be disappointed because that has been distilled down here. There's heavy moments here, don't get me wrong. There is some riffing, there's some great soloing on this, but it's done in a very melodic AOR type of setting outside of maybe Watcher in the Sky. There's some cool lead playing here and there. If you're somebody who liked the more later era stuff, like from the last record, the record before that, where it was a little bit more slick and well produced, and you like that sort of melodic radio sound, you're going to really like this because it's very well done. It's very catchy. The songs are really well thought out. There's hooks across all these songs, hooks in the guitars and in the different little things in the arrangements. So I'm really enjoying it. It took me a bunch of listens to really sort of settle in on it and really figure out what's going on. Again, it's a headphone album for me, but I do really like it. I really enjoy it. I'm a big Ghost fan. I have a feeling this is going to be high up on my end of the year list for top albums. So okay, there you go. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys have heard this, what you guys think of the new Ghost album. Let me know in the comments down below. And until we see you again, make sure you stay heavy, stay metal.